Hi, hello. How are we doing on this here morning here? I hope you're doing good. I'm doing pretty good myself. You guys are kind of crazy, and we are about to hit 100,000 subscribers here on YouTube. It hasn't even been a year, people. Holy shit! At least give me like a moment to process the fact that we even hit 10K. I haven't even processed that moment, honestly. This is wild, guys. You're crazy for that. Oh my God, I love you, my girl bosses. Oh my goodness. Can I call you my girl bosses? Do you want to be called my girl bosses? You can also be called my silly geese. Answer that in the comments below. That's the first time I've said comment below. Jesus Christ. Um, can you guys comment below if you want to be called the silly geese or the girl bosses? Because it's one of the two. And whatever you pick will be solidified in history forever. So, um, so first off, life updates. I finally know what I want to do with my life. Crazy, I know. Like crazy, crazy, crazy. Um, I want to get a PhD in psychology. I want to be an ultramarathon runner, and I want to write a book. These are the three things that I want to do with my life. And after a lot of soul searching, a lot of praying, a lot of contemplation, a lot of running away from and coming back to, and running away from and coming back to, this is what I want to do with my life. And you'll know that at the beginning of this channel, I kind of started this channel because I needed to think out loud so that I could process everything that was going on in my life so that I could move forward after losing my career as a ballerina. And I finally know what I want to do with my future, which feels monumental to be coming to this conclusion right around the time that we're hitting 100,000 subscribers. That feels amazing. Like the synchronicity of that. But you'll know that a few weeks ago I injured my spine and I found out my cat had a heart murmur. So I had to not chase after running and psychology. And stepping away from those two things made me feel incredibly hollow because I don't feel like myself without discipline, routine, and difficulty in my life. So I threw myself into writing for a little bit, the third thing on my list, and I felt great, but I felt like my life had no structure and it made me feel very discombobulated and very out of control. And recently, I started studying more, I started running more, and I feel so much better, which proves to me that these two things, my life is better with it in it than without it. So I'm like, if there's a will, there's a way. There was a roadblock for both of these things. Let's see if we can figure a way out of it. So with running, I bought new shoes, number one, and that's been helping with my back a lot. I've been running slower. So I've been running only 12-minute miles. Very strict 12-minute miles, not above, like zone two running, not letting my heart rate get too high. And that's been helping a lot with my body. Been sleeping more, eating more, drinking more water, all of the things. And I feel so much better having a lighter training plan, even though the mileage is the same. Number two, my cat. So I called my vet and I'm like, okay, if we know my cat has a heart murmur, we know he's going to potentially need surgery, emergency surgery, and or medication. What's the high end range that this is going to cost for these things? I called him up, he gave me an estimate, and I was like, okay, let me look at that number and have that number in my savings always. That number or above in my savings always. And then I was looking at it and I'm like, I could pay for maybe one or two college courses, but I can't pay for the full time course load that I'm supposed to for this semester. So I called up my college and I'm like, would it be okay if I did part time instead of full time because of this thing with my cat and finances? And they're like, yeah, sure, go for it. So I'm like, yes. So I signed up for two college courses in the fall, which means that my bachelor's degree in psychology might take a little bit longer than expected, but that's totally fine with me. It might take an extra year to do it, but that's okay as long as one, my cat is okay, and two, I'm financially responsible and I have enough finances. I'd much rather go slow and steady and win the race than drain my savings out, have my cat not have the care it needs, just so that I can get this degree. But those are the three things that I'm chasing outside of YouTube. And my book's going really well. I have a few chapters written. It's taking longer than expected, but I have my memoir and then my first book that I want to put out, hopefully in the next like couple of years. Books take time, people, so give me a moment here. Those are my goals and dreams and hopes. Next, let's talk about what's going on in my personal life, which I'm going to make a whole video about this, but I recently started medication for borderline personality disorder. And you guys are probably like, what? You had borderline personality disorder? Some of you guessed it in the comments. Some of you knew from the beginning, which made me feel incredibly insecure. I'm not a monster for having that diagnosis, by the way. I have quiet BPD. It just means that my emotions are very extreme, and that internally I'm fighting a battle that no one knows about. And that my mind is a mess, like an actual mess. I'm still emotionally intelligent. I still have self control. I'm still able to make positive decisions for my life. I just have the tendency to be self destructive. I have the tendency to have extreme emotions. I have the tendency to misread what people do as abandonment. But I recently started medication for it, which has been a life changer. A life changer. There's only like one or two medications that actually help with BPD, and if they don't work for you, they don't work for you, which is incredibly haunting to think about because when I started this, I was like, holy shit, what if this doesn't work? But it's been working, which makes my mind be in a better place so then I'm more focused, more centered, and my thought processes are clearer, which I love. There's not as much emotional clouding, which is amazing. And I've also been dealing with my Ehlers-Danlos and my POTS symptoms outside, like balancing my cortisol, working with my adrenals, working with my stress to help my heart work better. So my health is actually in a pretty good place right now, which I'm actually very happy about. And I'll make a whole video about like BPD because on this channel, we're incredibly honest. On this channel, we're incredibly open. And I realized that not talking about my diagnosis of BPD, not talking about mental health in general, and getting diagnosed and getting on medication is kind of hiding something from you guys that I think a lot of people could benefit from. Because not a lot of people very openly talk about getting diagnosed, what they're dealing with behind the scenes, getting medication, and how there shouldn't be a stigma around it. So I'll make a whole video about that. And that's another story. But I just wanted to take a second to acknowledge the fact that I'm chasing very, very difficult things. I'm chasing like being an ultramarathon runner. I want to run 100 miles one day. I'm chasing getting a PhD in psychology. And I'm chasing writing a book. These are objectively difficult things. These are objectively difficult things that not a lot of people in the world are going to do in their lifetime. And I wanted to take a second to acknowledge the fact that I'm going to be chasing that while also suffering from two of the most painful mental and physical conditions in the world. And I do not say that from ego. I say that from, holy shit, why the fuck am I doing this? This is crazy. What the fuck is wrong with me? Why am I doing this? It's because I got a calling. Back when I was a ballerina, like right before I started ballet, I was misdiagnosed with fibromyalgia because I had such severe neck and back pain 24/7. Turns out it was actually Ehlers-Danlos in disguise, but everyone told me I was crazy for chasing ballet at that point. So I've been here before where I have multiple things that are holding me back, that are out of my control. And then I'm also chasing a goal that very few people go after. So this isn't unlike me. This isn't unlike anything I've done in the past. I mean, I made huge strides in ballet despite being in very extreme physical and mental pain. Because again, they misdiagnosed me with generalized anxiety disorder when I was a kid. Come to find out, it was actually borderline. And now that I have the correct diagnoses, I'm still chasing impossible things. I still want to run 100 miles. I still want to get a PhD. I still want to write multiple New York Times bestseller books. This is what I want to do with my life. I can't turn that off. I can't turn off my dreams. I've dreamed big and now I've tasted the idea that I could reach it and now there's no stopping me. Once I've decided that I want something, it's very difficult to get me to stop reaching for it. I'm like a kid with a bowl of candy in front of them. I'm not going to stop reaching for it. I want the candy desperately. And no one and no thing is going to keep me from getting that, It's like it's psychological at this point. I'm about to do something a little bit insane. Something that I believe that others can benefit from seeing the process of. Because very rarely do we hear about people starting a journey and documenting the whole thing. Like I wish David Goggins had done that. I wish we had seen him when he was 300 pounds spraying for cockroaches and seen and heard his thought process throughout the entire thing. Because I'm almost entering a David Goggins era of sorts. And I'm not comparing myself to him because he's so much better than I am. But he started from a very low place of like having health issues and being 300 pounds and spraying for cockroaches and having a very cloudy mind and suffering from chronic stress and suffering from what he went through. And he was able to get himself to where he was because of his mindset, because of his grit, because of his dedication, because of his perseverance. And I wish I could have seen and heard what he said along that journey. And so I kind of want to document this journey of having two of the most painful conditions you can in the world and still reaching for impossible things. And I hope that doesn't make me sound egotistical. I hope that doesn't make me sound like a giant, massive, narcissistic dick by saying that I want to document this process. But part of me wants to. And I still want to keep the softness that I have where I just like sit down with you guys and rant about, how I love 3 a.m. and how I love Van Gogh and shit like that. And I also still want to keep the silly little goose vlogs because I really love connecting with you guys. So I want to start a podcast called Limitless. And the reason that I want to call it Limitless is because this is something I want to give to a past version of me. Back in January of 2024, I started a podcast called Limitless where I just sat down and talked about the art, science, and experience of being human. And it was really fun. I would talk about like art and love and emotions and dedication and endurance and alchemy and all this kind of shit. And it was super fun. And I really enjoyed just sitting down for an hour every single week and just talking. But no one tuned in and I felt really unconfident and I didn't tell any of my friends about it and then I quit. And then I started my YouTube channel in like October, August-ish. And that's when I started sharing these episodes with you guys, which are basically the same thing, just 10 minutes long instead of an hour long. And I really enjoyed it. But the other reason I want to call this podcast Limitless is because I want you to see the journey that I'm on. And obviously there's still going to be, advice about relationships on there. There's still going to be talks about love, talks about emotions, talks about what paintings I love, what music I love, all this kind of stuff. It's basically the same idea, the art, science, and experience of being human. And share a little bit about what I'm going through, what I'm thinking, how life is feeling for me, everything like that. Same thing, still a little digital diary. It's just these episodes will be available on Spotify and it'll be called Limitless, not my name. That's where we're at. We're going to do podcast Silly Little Goose Vlogs and I'll keep you guys updated. And I love you guys and thank you so much for the support. I really appreciate it. I love you. Bye.